Welcome to the webinar on Registered Apprenticeships. I'm Sienna Rajinski, Membership and Member Services Director for the South Dakota Retailers Association. First, I want to give you some information about our association. The South Dakota Retailers Association is a 4,000-member statewide association. Our primary mission is to represent retailers in the legislative and regulatory process. In addition, we provide information, offer training for food service and alcohol licensees, and provide member services. Those include credit card processing, business insurance, and data security. We also have an agreement with a labor law firm that allows our members to get answers to employment law questions from an attorney. Today's webinar will feature a presentation by Rebecca Long. She joined the South Dakota Department of Labor and Regulation team in November and serves as the Registered Apprenticeship Program Specialist. Previously, she was the Human Resources Manager for a home health agency in Huron. So just a few things before we start the presentation. The phones of all attendees are muted, so we won't be hearing any background noises. We'll have a question and answer period at the conclusion of the presentation. If you would like to ask a question at any time, just go to the panel on the side of your screen. You may need to click on the orange arrow to maximize the panel. Type your message in the chat box and click on send. At the conclusion of the presentation, I'll read the questions out loud to Rebecca and she'll provide an answer. Now we'll turn the presentation over to Rebecca Long.
Thank you, Sienna, and welcome everyone. I think we'll just jump right in here and start with some workforce facts and why now matters. Last week, the Wall Street Journal published an article with the following paragraph. If every unemployed person in the Midwest was placed into an open job, there would still be more than 180,000 unfilled positions. This was recently data from the U.S. Department of Labor. The 12-state region is the only area in the country where job openings outnumber out-of-work job seekers. And this is just a snapshot of numbers. This doesn't take into consideration what an individual's interests are, their knowledge, or their skills and abilities. This slide was presented at Governor Dugard's State of the State address in January. And basically what this is telling us is out of 100 high school students, 77 of them will graduate from high school and then enroll into college. And from those 77, only 29 are going to earn a college credential. So if you take each of those numbers in the light blue and you add them up, those are 77 young individuals that are potentially entering the workforce. So what is this really telling us? The two slides put together paint a picture for businesses in South Dakota. One, we simply don't have enough people to fill every position out there. And like I said, that's just warm bodies, no consideration into knowledge or talent or skills. And I've actually spoke with quite a few businesses that are turning revenue away because they just don't have the workforce to keep up to meet those demands. And two, we have the opportunity to hire and develop entry-level individuals to become future leaders within our communities and businesses. So with that, the Registered Apprenticeship Program is a proactive approach to meet your workforce needs. And a lot of people just don't understand what registered apprenticeships are, so we're going to take a little bit of time and kind of break down what that is. A registered apprenticeship is a customized, structured way of learning a skilled occupation that prepares workers for jobs. It meets your business needs for a highly skilled workforce by combining on-the-job training and related technical instruction. Traditionally, these occupations, registered apprenticeship occupations, are in construction. Most of the active programs in South Dakota are in construction, and they are successful and still growing. There is still a high demand for construction registered apprenticeships. We are also diversifying our occupations, and South Dakota has a couple of these in the works. We're looking into healthcare, advanced manufacturing, utilities, information technology, and agriculture. A lot of other states have implemented registered apprenticeships and are doing very successful in each of these industries. There are about 1,400 apprenticeable occupations out there, and the U.S. Department of Labor is going through those occupations, getting rid of the ones that don't necessarily apply anymore, and adding new ones as times have changed. So the components of a registered apprenticeship, these can be very overwhelming, so I'm going to just take a little bit of time and work through this basic framework. Every registered apprenticeship has a program sponsor. This entity is responsible for the overall operation of the program and works in collaboration with its partners. Next is the direct business involvement. As mentioned before, a registered apprenticeship is a customized training program. It's customized by and for the business. The business is the foundation of every program, and the skills needed by their workforce drive this model. The businesses also provide the on-the-job training, and then the apprentices receive the related technical instruction. And we'll kind of get into how this part works. This is the point where the program framework is constructed. Our next couple slides are going to show how the different models of how each of these come into play. Part of the registered apprenticeship is, as an apprentice continues to progress through their program, they will receive a wage increase throughout, and this wage is typically 50 to 75% of the master or worker is where they start, and then that wage increases, and that is entirely decided by the business. Nobody's going to come in and tell you what you need to pay your employee. You still do have to follow regulation, though, and remain above minimum wage. And then at the end of the program, once the apprentice has successfully completed their on-the-job training and the related instruction, they receive a national occupational credential. So this next slide, we are kind of breaking down that on-the-job training component and that related instruction. So if we look at the on-the-job training column, the business is the one providing that on-the-job training, and they designate a mentor or a journey worker to help that apprentice be successful, to learn those skills that they need to be successful. And then that journey worker is essential because they're also teaching that apprentice, becoming acquainted with the culture of the business and keeping engagement high as well. The time of the on-the-job training is really depends on the occupation. Typically, most of them are at 2,000 hours, but there are two other models out there where an apprentice can test out through a competency base, or the other one is a hybrid model where it merges the time-based one where they have a X amount of hours to meet with the competency-based. And the hybrid model is becoming very popular, and it's very successful. When the apprentice receives the on-the-job training really depends on how the related instruction comes in and what the occupation is. So we'll kind of touch on that here in a minute. Looking at the related technical instruction column, the who and how that is delivered, there's so many options out there anymore. You can use a tech school. It can start in the high school or the CTE. A union can deliver that, or just an industry association. Online programs, the business can deliver that as well. And with all other programs outside of the competency base, they are required to have a minimum of 144 related instruction hours. At times that can look a little intimidating, but you can take into consideration all of their safety trainings come in, their onboarding and paperwork and stuff like that can also be counted into those related instruction hours. Now, when that technical instruction is delivered, there's 3 different options with the registered apprenticeship. And it, again, depends on the occupation and then how the business wants that structured. So the front loaded, where all of the related instruction is provided to that apprentice beforehand, and then they go in to on-the-job training, something similar to a law enforcement officer. They'll receive all of their related instruction prior to their on-the-job training through the academy. You know, it's just safety and knowledge. They have to know that going in. It's what's going to set them up for success. The second one is parallel, and this is probably the most common one, where the apprentice is taking their related instruction and working at the same time. For instance, they may work 40 hours a week on the job training hours and do 2 hours twice a week with their related instruction. Or it could be self-paced. Some occupations, construction for instance, you know, we make hay when the sun shines, so when it's busy and it's go time, their apprentices are on the job, working at the job site, and then in the off season, in the winter in South Dakota, or I guess the spring in South Dakota now, they can be taking their related instruction, and that way it's not interfering with those work hours. So that was a lot of information in a very short amount of time, and please ask questions. It can be overwhelming. There's just so much information. So if you have any questions or need clarification, please just let us know. We're going to kind of go into some of the models and how each of those components come in and the delivery of the related instruction comes in. And I want to use a couple of examples of active apprenticeships in South Dakota, as well as some of the new programs that are getting going. A very common model, Midwestern Mechanical, based out of Rapid and Sioux Falls. They are the sponsor of their program, so they have full control and responsibility of their program. They provide on-the-job training, and they also have instructors within their business that provide that related instruction component. I believe their apprentices meet a couple, I think it's every other Friday, and I believe they do an 8-hour class, and then the rest of the time they are on-the-job training. The Department of Labor can come in, and we help with recruiting or screening potential apprentices to make sure that their skills are aligned for success and make sure that they are where they need to be in competency and skills prior to coming in. Next model is a new program that's starting. This is a group of businesses have come together with a similar need, and this doesn't have to be geographically come together. It could be a group of small businesses is starting to see a need for an IT individual. And you could come together and build a consortium and sponsor the program and provide that on-the-job training component. And then the tech school delivers that related instruction. So we let the tech school do what they're good at, and we do what we're good at, provide the on-the-job training. DLR can come in and help recruit and screen potential apprentices. And then we are also able to contribute funds to eligible individuals for their related instruction and can help with on-the-job training funds as well. We can help pay a portion of their wages if they are eligible and There's a few other eligibility components in there too, but I would really encourage you to talk to your local Department of Labor for more information on that. This next example is an industry association. AGC, or Associated General Contractors, are a national industry association with chapters in South Dakota. There's an office in Rapid and in Sioux Falls as well. They are the sponsor of their program, and they deliver their related instruction. The members, AGC members, is a group of businesses. They are providing the on-the-job training. And again, Department of Labor comes in. We help recruit and screen potential apprentices and then contribute towards those funds, training and related instruction for eligible individuals. SD Pass is a new program it's very exciting, but it's in its infancy stage, so it might not exactly play out like this, but these are the key players in this new program. It starts with the high school and CTE programs. They are providing classes, or CTE Academy. They are providing classes and apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship opportunities to students. The classes that these students are taking ideally are going to be dual credit with STI, Southeast Tech, who is the sponsor of the program. And then they will also deliver the upper level related instruction once that high school student graduates. Once that high school student graduates, they have the opportunity to continue straight on with a business providing on-the-job training to complete their registered apprenticeship, or they can go on to Southeast Tech and complete a registered apprenticeship and get an associate's degree. Or they can go right in to go to Dakota State University and complete a bachelor's degree. But at any point, that individual who maybe decided to go right into a registered apprenticeship later on in their life decide they want to learn more or upskill. So they will have those credit options available to go to Southeast Tech or to DSU. And this can happen at numerous points throughout their career and just creating that streamlined career pathway. This last model is with the Career and Technical School being the program sponsor. They deliver the related instruction. The business provides the on-the-job training. The K-12 education system is running a pre-apprenticeship program, and Department of Labor is contributing funds towards related instruction or that on-the-job training. I wanted to show this model because some businesses don't want the responsibility of being the program sponsor. So this would eliminate a lot of that responsibility with the Career and Technical School being that program sponsor, and you provide, as a business, provide the on-the-job training. You have the employee. You are doing what you do best. The tech schools are doing what they do best, and they're carrying that responsibility of being the program sponsor. And really that program sponsor, it's some paperwork and just tracking hours to make sure that that individual is successfully completing their obligations of on-the-job training hours and the related instruction hours. So again, that was a lot of information, and if you have more questions or want clarification, please just ask questions. So when I'm out visiting with businesses or the Department of Labor registered apprenticeship team is out visiting with businesses, the main question we hear is, what's in it for me? You just got to know what your benefits are. So customized training, quality employees, and how it affects your bottom line. With customized training, you are getting exactly what you need. Your individual is coming in, you're going to have to train them anyway, but this just really links that related instruction and on-the-job training. You decide that. You decide what is pertinent and important and prioritized within your specific organization. So it also provides a structured and sustainable way to create career pathways within an occupational area for your future needs. And it's a proactive approach to present and future skill needs, growing your own with the local pool of skilled workers when the local pool of skilled workers is small. Quality employees. One of the most common benefits that we hear out of industries or businesses that run registered apprenticeship programs is they have a quality employee that is stayed with them. Retention is approximately 91%. Once they complete their program, they stick with your business and they stick within the industry. You have a safer workplace. They are trained. Safety is usually one of the biggest related instruction components. They are knowledgeable and skilled, and they understand the importance of safety in your workplace. Increased productivity, they are highly skilled, and it diversifies your workforce. And the biggest part is that you have that talent pipeline. It is predictable, and you are able to make conscientious decisions based on your workforce and what you know you have coming. And probably the most common common question is, what's it do to our bottom line? A registered apprenticeship program does not cost any money. You don't have to write a check for it. There is some man hours involved in getting it set up. That customization, we work closely with you, but we do really want to make sure that it's set up for success. So it does take some man hours, but it happens at the pace that you decide. Studies have shown that with registered apprenticeships, the return on investment is $1.47 for every dollar spent. This comes through in productivity, decreased recruiting costs, insurance premiums, retention, just a lot of value that isn't easy to always be tracked. The other part is that there are funds through WIOA that may be used to support your apprenticeship programs, as well as outside of apprenticeship. So if you find out that apprenticeships aren't for you, there are still opportunities for WIOA to come in and help you with your workforce. So again, I encourage you to talk to your Department of Labor and find out how those financial supports may come in. And last, Department of Labor has applied for a grant that will assist in starting new and expanding existing apprenticeships. So if you haven't been, if you're not quite sure, or you've been on the fence about whether to do an apprenticeship or not, keep on the lookout. Hopefully we'll have more information on those grant funds mid to late May. So whether if you're not sure if a registered apprenticeship is for you or not, we can help you identify some of those opportunities. Through these list of questions, if you have positions that are difficult to find workers with the right skills, positions with high turnovers, you have a skilled workforce retiring soon, challenges keeping up with industry advances and technology advances, skills that can be learned on the job, or just difficulty in attracting new and a more diverse talent pool. If you answered yes to any of these questions, I recommend you contact us. You can head over to the starttodaysd.com website. You can click on businesses and apply. All you're really doing with that apply is just submitting information, and then we will reach out to you. We'll help. We'll take time to learn more about your company and what your goal is. We'll help you explore some of those available financial resources and help you navigate through the program development process. And really determine whether or not a registered apprenticeship is for you. It's not for every business, but it can be explored. I would really encourage everybody to explore the option of registered apprenticeships within your business. In that meantime, if you answered yes and you're thinking about contacting us, some information that will be asked and some things to start thinking about is within that specific occupation, if there's a job description and how you are currently training those individuals, if there are required certifications, or if you'd like them to have required certifications, you know, what your starting wage is and what your ending wage would be for somebody once they complete it. And then any partnerships that can be made available, and then what that time frame is. If you cannot answer any of these questions, don't worry about it. We'll help you through it. Just contact us, and we're here to help however we can. So with that, that's all my information, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, this is Sienna again. Thank you, Rebecca. We'll open it up again for questions. To ask that question, go to the panel on the side of your screen. You may need to click on that orange arrow button to maximize the panel, type in your message in the chat box and click on send, and we'll read those questions aloud and Rebecca can provide the answers. We do have some questions that have come in, so I will just go through those real quick here. One, what are the parameters for the DOL to pay a portion of wages for an apprentice?
That question, I would recommend contacting your local Department of Labor, and they will help you through that. But there are specific barriers that an individual needs to meet, and those barriers could be something very minimal. It could be simply a single parent or a youth that's between, I know we don't think of it as a youth, but somebody between the ages of 18 and 25. There's just so many variables in there to give a clear answer, and I would direct that to get a full, accurate answer. I would direct that to the experts in those areas, so contact your local Department of Labor individuals.
Another question, how much oversight is there from the Department of Labor on apprenticeships? For example, does the business send in reports to the department? Does the department come to the business?
So the Registered Apprenticeship Program is a U.S. Department of Labor program. The oversight from it, there are audits that are conducted by the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship, and it depends on the life of the apprenticeship or the program structure. If it's 2,000 hours, you might see him once a year. If it's a 8,000 hour program, you might see him every other year. Some of those variables that come in would be the completion rates and the success of your program, but they really just want you to be successful is the main goal of those audits.
Okay. Another question, is it possible to set up an apprenticeship in the hospitality business, such as a restaurant and lodging business? Or are these geared more toward construction, manufacturing, and healthcare fields?
Yes, that is a option. There are other states that have implemented hospitality apprenticeships, and those occupations, though I can't think of them right off the top of my head, they are available. And if you shoot me an email, whoever that individual was that asked, I will get you more information on that.
Can you review again the slide about how to get started? The questions you should look at when deciding whether an apprenticeship is right for your business.
Yep, let's go right there. So basically, if you have a position or an area where finding an individual with the right skills you're just not finding those individuals, which would kind of come into play with what the U.S. Department of Labor came out with and the historical data in South Dakota's education, those 77 individuals coming out of high school with little to no formal post-secondary education. So it might fit for those individuals. If you have high turnover, we see this a lot in construction for one, healthcare is another one, where there's just a constant turnover. That might be it. That might be your key to at least explore registered apprenticeships. Occupations for a highly skilled workforce, challenges with keeping up with industry standard or industry advances and technology advances for that occupation, and then requiring jobs that can be learned on the job, or occupations, skills that can be learned on the job, and then just attracting new and diverse talent pools.
Okay. Another question, what is the cost for a business to be part of the apprenticeship program?
There is no upfront cost. There's no cost at all associated with being a registered apprenticeship program. I think I said there are some man hours involved just in working out how your program should be structured, how those related instruction components are going to be delivered, and building partnerships and what those details really are. And then figuring out what the work processes are for that on-the-job training, making sure that the related instruction and the on-the-job training complement each other and offset so that you know, that individual is getting the highest potential, most amount of information and apply that information on the job.
Okay. As an employer, what is my responsibility or time commitment?
The time commitment it depends on the specifics of that question. To get the program started, it will be more heavy up front to get that going, but we work, you know, at the pace that you said. If you decide today that you want your program up and going and you've got all this information laid out, all the details, it'll go pretty quick. If you're not quite sure, it may take a little bit longer. So there's that time commitment. The other, once you have your program up and going, depending on who your sponsor is, it's a matter of tracking hours, which most places, you know, you do keep track to pay your individual anyway. It's breaking out what it is that individual is working on, and a lot of that responsibility falls on the apprentice.
Okay. Can a business terminate the registered apprenticeship if they have a poor experience? If it's referring to a program, absolutely, they can terminate their registered apprenticeship program at any point for no reason at all. If it is the apprentice, if you want to
terminate a apprentice employee, you absolutely can do that as well. They are an employee, they are paid. You still have to remain compliant with laws and regulations. But yeah, you can terminate that employee if they are not meeting their goals or are not fulfilling their obligations.
Okay. Could you review the occupation assessment slide one more time?
Absolutely. Once you have answered yes to maybe a couple of those questions, or if you're just really not sure, we encourage you to just kind of come prepared with a little bit of this information, but it's okay if you're not either. See if there's a job description for that occupation. The biggest part is determining what that current training method is. If you have a training program or a method in place, that will help speed up the process if you get that on paper or in some form, if you just bring that for something tangible to look at. If a certificate, I know occupations in IT, there are lots of certificates that come with that. So if one is needed necessarily, or if you would really desire one specific for your business, that wage schedule, the business decides what that wage schedule looks like. So for healthcare, for instance, if you have in the world of apprenticeships, a CNA is a health support specialist, and you decide where they should start. But if the average high wage for a health support specialist is $15, obviously 50% of that is not acceptable because that is below minimum wage, but you decide where that starts and then what those schedules look like, and we'll help you through that process. What partnerships can be made, and a lot of that comes in with working with Department of Labor and then figuring out how that related instruction is going to be delivered. If you want to utilize a tech school or work with your high school, explore online options or an industry association, and then what you would prefer to see the time frame of that being. Like I said, most are time-based, and that is usually a minimum of 2,000 hours or approximately 1 year on the job training. And a lot of them are going to hybrid that could be less than 1 year, or competency-based that are testing out.
Okay. I think I have one last question. How would I find an apprentice who sees the potential in the wall covering industry? Is there a database that you refer to?
So on our Start Today SD website, there's an option for individuals to inquire on what they are interested in, and Department of Labor takes that information, and we contact and reach out to them and try and help them through finding what it is that they desire for that occupation. So that is one way. To get to those individuals, contact your Department of Labor again. And then also just let them know that you are looking for that. That you're looking for that occupation.
Okay. Well, I think that's the conclusion of our questions that we have. So again, I want to extend our thanks to Rebecca Long of the South Dakota Department of Labor and Regulation for today's presentation. The webinar was recorded, and a link to that recording will be emailed to you later today. But before we conclude, I'd like to let you know about a couple other opportunities for educational webinars and seminars coming up. On April 25th, we're presenting a free webinar on data security and safeguarding your business records. And then in May, our association will sponsor employment law seminars in Aberdeen, Mitchell, and Rapid City. An attorney from the Jackson Lewis Law Firm will focus on key issues facing employers today, In addition, the Attorney General's office will explain South Dakota's new data breach reporting law. You can check out our website at www.sdra.org to find more information on those webinars and seminars. We'll also include links with the webinar recording. And again, we want to thank everybody for participating on today's webinar. Thank you.